Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Revealing the Narc, and on this channel we dive deep into the intriguing world of narcissism. I'll often use public figures as examples to illustrate how these behaviors can manifest in real life. If this sounds interesting to you, please like and subscribe. And I should mention, everything I say in this video is my opinion, and any theories or hypotheticals are all allegedly. One more thing, I want to clarify that I am not a therapist and the content shared on this channel is not intended as professional advice. My goal is to share my perspective and encourage discussion. Always seek professional help if you are dealing with issues related to narcissism or any mental health concerns. With all that said, let's get started with this video. Today I want to talk about a pretty juicy topic, and it has to do with the name Lilibet and how it's Queen Elizabeth II's very dear nickname that her father gave her and her husband called her. And now when we hear Lilibet, unfortunately, sometimes we don't think of Queen Elizabeth II. We think of Princess Lilibet, Prince Harry's and Meghan Markle's daughter. So we'll go through an article and then I'm going to talk about five overarching things that Meghan Markle did to Queen Elizabeth II that I would consider cruel or mean. And then we'll talk about how someone could treat someone so cruelly and then turn around and have this over-exaggerated gesture of something that looks like kindness, but in my opinion is not actually kindness. It's actually the opposite. This article was published on October 16th and is titled Meghan Markle Outraged Late Queen with Lie Over Lilibet's Name. An explosive royal book claims the late queen was left outraged after Prince Harry and Meghan Markle claimed they got permission over their daughter's name. The late Queen Elizabeth II was reportedly left outraged after Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's lie about Princess Lilibet's name. The couple, who welcomed their second child in June 2021, allegedly claimed they had been granted permission to use the name Lilibet for their daughter. I don't think it's allegedly, and you guys can check, but I'm pretty sure it's mentioned in Spare. And if it's mentioned in Spare, it's not allegedly it came from Prince Harry's own mouth. The article continues. Robert Hardman's book, Charles III, New King, New Court, The Inside Story, which was released earlier this year, revealed that one member of staff claimed that the late queen was as angry as I'd ever seen her after hearing Harry and Meghan's comments. The adorable nickname had stemmed from the late monarch's childhood and was a sweet alternative to Elizabeth after she could not pronounce her name as a young child. It later stuck and became one of the adorable names that the late Prince Philip used for his wife. Despite Meghan and Harry's comments, the BBC later reported that the late queen had not been asked for her blessing to use the name for their second-born. Other reports later stated that while the late monarch was contacted by her grandson, she was not in the position to say no. A spokesperson for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex said that the pair would not have used the name if the monarch had not been supportive. So in my opinion, and I don't know if the article is going to go into this, I don't think it was as much as they asked, other than they told her, or when they asked, they didn't say Lilibet, but they said something along the lines of, we want to honor your name, or something like that. So it wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't directly, do you mind, or would it be okay if we named our daughter Lilibet? I don't think that was the actual question that was asked. At the time, a spokesperson said the Duke spoke with his family in advance of the announcement. In fact, his grandmother was the first family member he called. During that conversation, he shared their hope of naming their daughter Lilibet in her honor. Had she not been supportive, they would not have used the name. Law firm Schillings, which acts for Harry and Meghan, wrote a letter to some news broadcasters and publishers. They said, at the time, stating the claims that the pair had not asked the Queen for position was incorrect and defamatory. The book read, one privately recalled that Elizabeth II had been as angry as I'd ever seen her in 2021 after the Sussexes announced that she had given them her blessing to call their baby daughter Lilibet, the Queen's childhood nickname. Mr. Hardman added, the couple subsequently fired off warnings of legal action against anyone who dared to suggest otherwise, as the BBC had done. However, when the Sussexes tried to co-opt the palace into propping up their version of events, they were rebuffed. Once again, it was a case of recollections may vary. So I'm curious, what do you all think? Do you think Queen Elizabeth was directly asked? Do you think the question was phrased in a different way? In my opinion, I don't think the question was asked honestly. I think that Queen Elizabeth and the palace choosing not to support Harry and Meghan in what they were telling the press had actually happened actually shows that she was not in line with their daughter being named Lilibet. I mean, it's cruel, I feel. Oh my goodness. So, and I think there was somewhere I read that Queen Elizabeth was heard saying, you know, I don't own the palaces, I don't own the property, I don't own the jewelry, but what I do own, what I do have is my name, and they've taken that. It's so cruel. So now what I want to do is, I guess you could call it provide evidence. I want to provide evidence that Meghan did hurtful things to the Queen. And the reason I want to start like this is because it's very difficult to understand how you could hurt someone and then turn around and try to do something in their honor that from the outside might look like a very sweet gesture. The first is they left their royal duties. They chose to step back from their royal duties in 2020, and that was seen as a big break from tradition, and it caused tension within the royal family. Just to go into a little bit more detail on this, they announced their decision to step back from royal duties through a statement on Instagram, and it caught the royal family completely off guard. So they didn't even notify the family. They just announced it on Instagram. And I think that this was done because maybe they thought they would, what is it called? Like rough arm? I think that's what it's called. But basically to force something for the palace to do something that would be in Harry and Meghan's favor. It was like they were calling their bluff. And it didn't work, obviously. And then after that, in February 2021, Harry did an interview with James Corden, and he said that they had to step back to protect their mental health. And this frames their decision in a way suggesting they were dissatisfied with royal life and that it was so bad that it was destroying their mental health. Another thing that Meghan did that would have hurt Queen Elizabeth is her 2021 interview with Oprah Winfrey. She gave serious allegations about the royal family, including claims of racism and a lack of support, which would have deeply hurt the Queen. So in the interview, she revealed that a member of the royal family expressed concern over the skin color of their son Archie, which sparked widespread controversy and hurt the monarchy. When Meghan revealed that, what she did was actually a lot worse than naming people. So she said it was a member of the royal family, but she didn't specify who. What happens when you do that? Everybody comes into question. So it's a very, like she's trying to make it look like I'm going to be so kind and I'm not going to tell exactly who it was. But the effect is the opposite. And I believe she knows that. That was a strategic move on her part. She wanted to cast suspicion on every member of the royal family. In the interview, Meghan also claimed that she lacked support, like mental health support from the institution. And she stated that she was denied getting help despite her struggles, which implied neglect by the family. And I mean, she talks about how she struggled a lot while she was pregnant. And when she was pregnant, she went and spoke to the palace HR. Why? Why would you go to HR about that, right? I mean, it's different. Like, okay, I work for a company, let's say, right? If I wanted help, yeah, maybe I would turn to my company's HR. But the company she works for is her family. Yeah, they're her in-laws, but they're her family. Why can't she go to them? And I don't believe that she didn't feel comfortable reaching out to them. Harry's talked about his mental health struggles. Princess Catherine is a major advocate of mental health improvement. So it's just another way to inflict pain on this family. Meghan also publicly criticized royal life. She made some candid remarks about her struggles with royal life in interviews and suggested a lack of appreciation from the institution. And this, I think, would have disappointed the Queen, knowing how much the Queen did her best to be accommodating and helpful to Meghan. And one example of this was a video that I posted yesterday that was about Meghan's patronage to the National Theatre. The Queen had held it, I think, for 45 years, and she gave it to Meghan because Meghan is an actress, and Queen Elizabeth thought that Meghan would enjoy it. I mean, that is such... It's like, let's say you work for a company and the company gives you a project that they know that you'll like. That's kindness. That's caring. I mean, I don't know how else you would take that. So to go into some detail about, or specifics about her public criticism, she, in her Spotify podcast Archetypes, she discussed the challenges of fitting into the royal life, and she indicated feelings of being silenced and constrained. And then she also did an interview with Cut magazine in 2022, and she describes feeling trapped in her role, which paints the monarchy in a negative light. She also went on to commercial ventures, so the couple's move to monetize their brand through deals with Netflix and Spotify raised concerns about their commitment to royal values and traditions, potentially reflecting poorly on the monarchy. So going on to monetize their Sussex names, their relationship to the royal family, this would have hurt the Queen. And so it was in September 2020 when Meghan and Harry signed that multi-year deal with Netflix, focusing on producing content that promotes diverse narratives, which raised eyebrows about their royal obligations. And then they also partnered with Spotify, announcing that in December 2020, further emphasizing their shift from royal duties to more commercial projects. And also, it has later come out, and I mean, don't quote me on this, and I'm saying this allegedly, that a lot of these contracts and things were put into motion long before they announced their exit. So this is something that they had been planning for a long time, and the Queen might have been aware of that. There's also the personal comments she made about family. This could have been very hurtful, or I'm sure they were very hurtful to Queen Elizabeth. So in various interviews, Meghan discussed feeling isolated and unsupported within the royal family, which may have been perceived as a betrayal of family privacy and loyalty. And you know that the royal family, they say never complain, never explain. They try to keep everything, they resolve it within themselves. They don't air their laundry to the whole world. And I understand that there's like pros and cons of doing that, but Meghan not only aired her laundry to the world, like she aired everybody's laundry to the world. I wish there was a larger like scope of laundry. It's like not doing laundry for a year and then airing all of that. That's a good example. That's how much she aired her laundry. And specific examples of that are the mental health discussions that she's had. So Meghan's spoken about her mental health struggles in many interviews, suggesting that the royal family was dismissive of her needs. The most recent one was at the CBS morning show she did, where she pretty much said, well, I haven't put my story out there yet. Something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, I know. And then, of course, there's the Cut interview. She reflected on feeling like an outsider within the family, emphasizing her emotional changes. And it's like she was the first girlfriend to be invited to Sandringham for Christmas. First one. They did their best to make her feel special. Can you imagine someone doing their best to make you feel special and they hurt you this badly? I mean, at some point you have to say, like, no matter what I do, it'll never be good enough for this person. And there are people like that, and there's actually peace. There's actually peace in that, in knowing that. An example came to me just now. So I have family members that they just want to believe the worst in me. And there's actually two of them. And these two, they exist to like bully me. So when I'm around both of them together, it's like they're constantly throwing judgments my way. And instead of being, okay, first of all, can't even have a normal conversation, right? But even worse than that is I'm constantly on the defense. So I'm like dodging all the stuff they're saying, and I'm never in the offense. The things that they say about me, I don't even think about them. But there's just like this casting of judgment, and I believe this is called triangulation. So of these two women that do that, one of them is, I mean, she's definitely like on that narcissistic spectrum. I'm not sure exactly like what she is, but you know, I have my malignant narcissist stepmom, and then there's this woman too. I don't want to get into too much of who she is because I feel like if I do, my identity might come out because my family story is kind of unique. My point in saying all of that is that I have spent so much time defending myself, trying to prove myself to people that are hell bent of thinking the worst in me. They don't see the positive. Like, I'll give another example. I'm highly educated in a particular topic. It's not psychology, but in a particular topic. And when news about this topic comes out and I talk about my expertise, which I've been doing for over 20 years, they're like, what do you know? Dude, I have the highest degree possible in that field. Like, I know. But even having that highest degree, and on top of that highest degree, having 20 years of experience on top of that, and that's not good enough for these people, nothing will ever be good enough. And there's peace in that. There's peace in knowing that. So if any of you are going through a struggle like that, I'm really sorry that you're going through it. You know, you don't need to prove yourself to people. People that love you for who you are. Yeah, and that's what I want to say. And I hope that, you know, there's not many of you that are going through that, because it is so painful. So let's get back to the topic. Why would a malignant narcissist act so cruel and then do something superficially that looks sincere? That's kind of what happened with this Meghan Markle Lilibet thing. Anyone on the outside that looks at the facts, like unbiased, looks at the facts, they know that the things Meghan said were lies. Meghan herself knows they were lies, which means it was malicious in nature. So what she did towards the royal family is malicious in nature. She intended to do harm. So how do you go from that to crying at her funeral and naming your daughter after her, and not after her public name, but after her private name? It looks like, oh my gosh, what a beautiful thing to do. Like, that's, I think, the reaction she's hoping to get from the public. But anyone who looks at it, like steps back and looks at it, they're like, what a manipulation that is. What evil that is. To hurt someone that much and then try to turn it around and, I don't know, like twist the, you know what, even deeper, and hope that people will say, oh my gosh, she's so wonderful. They treated her so badly and she still dedicated her daughter's name to her. Okay, so let's get into the 3 reasons why I think this would happen. But I think Meghan's reasons for doing it are a lot worse than the 3 we'll talk about right now. Also, I should mention, I think that Meghan is a malignant narcissist, and I say that because she reminds me of my stepmom, and I believe my stepmom is a malignant narcissist, but I am not a therapist. I have not studied psychology. This is just my personal experience. So a malignant narcissist may use this as a manipulative strategy, so showing some type of kindness to someone that they've treated so poorly. So this can be done strategically to manipulate perceptions and maintain control over their image. Naming a child after someone can create an illusion of closeness and affection, masking any underlying cruelty or conflict. So I think there is a part of Meghan that was doing this for image, to try to look like everything was okay. And I think also another part of it has come out the victim. Look how they treated me. And I still dedicated my daughter's name to her. It's infuriating, right? Yeah, let's get to the next one. It could be emotional exploitation. So they may exploit the emotional significance of a name to invoke feelings of guilt or obligation in others. This can create confusion, as their kindness can be seen as a way to further entrap the person emotionally while simultaneously harboring resentment. I don't know how much of this is true, because I don't think Meghan intended any sort of reconciliation, but this could be a reason that someone could be so cruel and then pretend in this exaggerated action to be kind. And finally, malignant narcissists often struggle with their own insecurities, and they have conflicting emotions. So this could be an internal conflict that's going on. Their cruelty might stem from a need to dominate or assert power, while acts of kindness, like naming a child, may reflect a desire for connection or validation, and it leads to this erratic behavior. And remember, if this is done in very close relationships, it creates this like walking on eggshells type of feeling, right? You never know what to expect. Sometimes they can make an action that's so sweet and generous, and you might be blinded by that. You might not see that there's ill intent behind it, and then the rest of the time they're just cruel and mean and nasty and hurtful. But you hold on, for that one moment of kindness. That really isn't kindness. It's just an act. Anyway, so I'm interested to know in what you all think about this. I would love to hear your thoughts, so please leave them in the comments. If this video was interesting to you, please like and subscribe, and I will talk to you all soon. Goodbye.